Now, of course, you've seen me review fragrances from the brand Precious Liquid in the past. This is the brand of perfumer Richard Herpen. I love fragrances like Salt and Pepper. There's also another one called Blue Agave. Today, we're going to be taking a closer look at Sangria Oak. And as you can tell from the title, it's going to be woodsy, it's boozy, there's rum, there's spices, there's a lot of really wonderful and powerful ingredients in here. I'm looking forward to giving you my thoughts very soon, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on Sangria Oak by Precious Liquid, this is a fragrance that I recently discovered, but of course I looked up the note breakdown and everything in there from the cardamom to the saffron, the pink grapefruit, the rum, the patchouli, the oak, all of these ingredients sound absolutely delightful. And I don't know if you are a consumer of sangria, but it is a very sort of realistic interpretation of the drink. I want to start the video off first by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it, hit the bell, and please give this video a thumbs up for the algorithm. It would really mean a lot to me. So, Sangria Oak. Now, if you've consumed sangria, you know sometimes it can have orange juice in it, it can have apples, there's citrus, it's boozy, of course, sometimes brandy, I think, is added in it. I haven't consumed in a very long time, but of course you have the rum in this fragrance, so that's what brings forth a little bit of the spice, but of course you also have this combination of saffron and cardamom, and I am surely getting a lot of saffron from this fragrance. It doesn't ever lean leathery though, which I think is really important, especially if you're trying to fulfill a certain concept in terms of a beverage or a place or whatever. You want to be mindful or conscientious of how much of a particular ingredient is being used, but of course with the expertise and the professionalism and the creativity of perfumer Richard Herpen, there is no doubting that this one is done exceptionally well. All of the links are going to be left down below with a special code if you're interested in discovering this fragrance. But of course, let's go ahead and start things off with a quick look at the presentation first. Now, right in the opening of this fragrance, you are going to get that sangria accord. And what do I mean by that? I mean, it smells a little fruity, it's boozy, it's spicy, but there's this warmth about it that is really delightful. Whenever I think of warmth, I think of amber, I think of vanilla, perhaps some other sweet notes. And yes, I do think there's a little bit of labdanum in the dry down. So there are some resins leaning a little bit sweet because labdanum does have the propensity of leaning a little sweet. But then you also have the oak. And of course, you think of a lot of these spirits or other types of beverages are being aged in oak barrels. So it kind of adds to the realism of it, which I think is really nice and of course very methodical, very well thought out and quite deliberate. You also have patchouli, which adds a little bit of earthiness, but it's only secondary to the oak. I'm getting a lot more oak than anything else. But of course, the main blast, the smell that you're going to get right in the opening are the fruits and the spices. And of course, you do have that pink grapefruit. You have a little bit of a peppery quality in the opening too. But right away, you get that saffron combining with that sweetness, that fruitiness. And it's a very full, luscious sort of a fragrance. And it actually does sort of convey a sense of relaxation. You know, there's certain beverages, you think about them and you think of relaxing, cozy atmosphere, bourbon, whiskey, cognac, and some of them, whether we're talking about a margarita accord or a mojito accord, they're a bit more lighthearted, a bit more fresh, more summery. And of course, this one is not summery per se. This one is more suited for the colder weather, I would say, on account of all these other ingredients in here, the resins, the patchouli, the oak, all of these with a higher or a lower volatility, higher molecular structure that will allow them to last for a much longer time on skin. And sure enough, the longevity for this fragrance is incredible. So we're talking 10+ hours, which is the case for most Precious Liquid fragrances, which is another thing that I'm quite impressed by as far as this brand is concerned. But sangria, oak, spicy, boozy, cardamom is there, but not as strong as the saffron. And it's such an interesting fragrance if you are a consumer of sangria. And of course, I should mention there are a few different varieties. There is red sangria, there's white sangria, there's even blue sangria I've seen at some, establishments that I've dined at, which is made with like Bombay Sapphire, which I think is blue curacao. But with this particular fragrance, the vibe that I'm getting is red sangria. So I don't know if that's just like a synesthetic thing, but try it for yourself. At the very least, see if you can secure a sample. This way you can spray it on skin, see how it works with your chemistry, and see if it appeals to your sentiments. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I love it. I don't think it's too often that we see a sangria accord in perfumes. Gin and tonic all the time. There's Micallef, there's Mise-en-Cire. We've seen mojito in many fragrances, even if it's being done inadvertently, something like a Torino 21 by Xerjoff, which is also wonderful. But here we have a deliberate sangria accord that is executed so wonderfully. Longevity, 10 hours. Projection, fantastic for the first hour of application. It radiated just a little bit beyond an arm's length. It became an elbow's length scent right around hour 7, a skin scent right around hour 10. In terms of the versatility, perfectly unisex, great for the cold weather, dressed up or dressed down. I think a lot of people will find something really special in this, so they might want to wear it dressed up. But of course, wear perfumes whenever you want, whenever it makes you happy, no restrictions there. And I think this one would appeal to anybody of any age. In terms of the presentation, I think the presentation for their fragrances is quite gorgeous. The cap, the gold plaque on the front, the distribution on the atomizer. My final verdict on Sangria Oak by Precious Liquid is it's a natural smelling sangria perfume. It is a boozy accord that is not as common as some others on the market, so I love the originality behind that. The perfumer who worked on this is absolutely genius, and as far as the overall composition is concerned, it smells mysterious, delightful, playful, upbeat, but also resolute at the same time. Try it for yourself, you know, arrive at your own verdict, and I sincerely hope that you love it as much as I do. Thank you so much for joining me today. Sangria Oak by Precious Liquid. If you own or have tried this fragrance, let me know what you think. Drop your comments down below. Always love the interaction. And of course, if you took something of value from today's episode, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, give this video a thumbs up for the algorithm too. Thank you again for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. Bye.